look like, okay? And then immediately after the review of lit at the bottom of page 83, you get into the body of the paper. And that continues for how many pages you assign, but in order to, for the sake of brevity, I just did 2 pages, a page and a half. In the middle of it, in this fictitious term paper, we put in a graph, I mean not a graph, but a table. And so that's in there, that's what that would look like. If you want to note, that's what it would look like, that's put in there. These are all just samples of things that can go in term paper, but that's what it should look like. Next page, you continue with body, then there is a secondary heading, behavioral therapy on page 85. That's how that should be put in and look in case the student wants to include that. And on page 86 goes down at the end of the body on the same page. The title conclusions and or recommendations is inserted, and a student will then write the conclusion. On the next page, which is a separate page on a term paper, should be references. These are the references. Again, the book talks about that. And then the next page shows where the appendices would go. They would look like that. And the following page would show where appendix would go, and it would look like that. So that schematic is just a mini term paper without the words. But it gives you a very quick bird's eye view of what a paper should look like that your student hands in. Okay? Where do you come in? You're going to play a very important role in this. We have a set of unique circumstances here at the college, and we've talked about this. We have students that come to us that transfer in English 101. Now, if they transfer in 101 from another institution, we have a problem. Because in our 101, we teach the very basic process of writing, a lot of the stuff that I just talked to you about. We teach them the term paper, a lot of the stuff we talked about here. And they go through a good dose, hard dose of grammar, usage, spelling, a lot of the stuff that I talked about here. But if they transfer that in and they don't take our 101, there's no guarantee that that institution taught the term paper, or how good was their grammar instruction there. And so we get students coming in, going into our 102, and even some students transfer 102 in. They missed our basics, then they end up in your courses. And then there's a problem, because they don't have the background to do a good paper. So that's one problem we're wrestling with, and we don't have an answer to that problem yet. But where you come in is that you, in your various courses, and we're not just saying that to the Division of the Division of General Studies, we're saying this to all the divisions. We're asking the instructors, listen, help us use some sort of criteria, writing standard criteria, along with content to grade these papers. Unless our students are held accountable in every one of our classes, they're not going to write. They're not going to do it. They're going to feel, hey, if I get the information the professor wants, the content, that should be good enough. No, it's not. And the way I'll end this is, I'll tell you what I tell all my students. I tell them that in a very short period of time, whether they know it or not, it's going to be a very short period of time, somebody's going to give them a funny long black dress to put on, and they're going to tie a hood around their shoulders and give them a 4-square pointed hat. They're going to line them up in an auditorium, march them up, and on the stage and around the stage will be the president of the college and all the instructors. And as that student walks up, the president of the college hands that student a round piece of paper called a what? Degree. There is a basic assumption. The assumption that that president has and that we all have. In fact, it's a very basic assumption. Of all the things that they learned here at the college for 4 years, there are 2 things that we assume that they have skills in. 1 is writing, and 2 is speaking. They ought to have those skills. Unfortunately, a lot of them at this point don't. Not, at least not up to the standards that they should have. And then that, ladies and gentlemen, is a direct reflection on us, you, me. Because then they go out into the world of work, and someone's going to say, where did you go to college? That's the way they taught you to write. That's the way they taught you to speak. And it's a direct reflection on us. Our English division can't do it alone. You guys have to help. And everybody, and I'll make this plea to every instructor in this college. I don't care if you don't use the standards in that book. Use some standards, some writing standards. But make our students accountable. They need the practice. The metaphor of the basketball, keep that in mind. The more they write, the better they're going to become. Hold them accountable. Okay? That's my spiel. Any questions?
John, I have
Yes.
a quick question. I'm going to backtrack a little bit to the APA book. I don't have the recent one. Mine is from ancient history, but I would like to know if in the new APA manual, if there are examples of what to do with internet references.
I think there are, yeah.
Is it in the new one?
They're in the supplement.
In the supplement.
Oh, okay. All
Because
right.
when APA put out their manual, they weren't ready to address that, but they put a
Right.
supplement out after that.
Okay.
And my book,
It's online.
that's right. My book was written prior to that, so
Okay.
we don't have that in here.
All right.
But also, Bill, doesn't the library have a 2 or 3 page handout? I think they do.
They also have 8 copies of the regular text, with 4 of which are always circulated.
Yeah, you go to the library, they'll give you some information they have.
Yeah, I mean, I have mine, and I can, if I can get it online, I'll get it online. Yeah, then I-
The Bud book that's used for English 320 also gives examples
Oh,
of that.
okay.
And that's in the bookstore.
Keep in mind, gang, we must hold them not only accountable for what I said, but they need to know what APA is. And if they've gone through our English 101 and 102 or 110 course here, they will know what it is. It's those students that bypass that. They need to know, they can't use, God knows, I mean, I've seen them use everything from some semblance of an APA to their own style. And their own style could be anything from A to Z. They need to know what APA is. And if you're rusty as an instructor in APA, that should give you a quick, easy dose of it right here. And if you really need some information, Dr. Kehoe is the guru. Okay, I thank you so much. Marcy's looking at the watch and pointing at me.
I have a few simple announcements. I hope they're simple. If you look at the agenda, we're over the time that we were saying, but we think that these are important for you. We've made a tape. You're all on tape. At this point, the back of your head is on the tape, but we wanted you to feel comfortable with that rather than in front. The other is that we are going to shorten this second part of the agenda by simply giving you a copy of the mission statement, and you can go over it yourself. This comes off the special edition of the faculty newsletter. If you don't get this, let me know, please, and I'll see what you do. Or let Jane know, actually. That's Jane back there. Jane is responsible for having helped us with the food and the preparation of this day as well.